Northeast agriculture is a strong and vibrant part of our economy. Recently, Farm Credit East brought together 3 experts with different perspectives to discuss Northeast agriculture for the next 10 years. The discussion was moderated by Farm Credit East CEO Bill Lipinski and included Kathryn Boor, Dean of the Cornell University College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Dean Boor grew up on a dairy farm in the Northeast and has an extensive background as a professor of food science. Also participating was Dr. David Kohl, Professor Emeritus of Agricultural Economics at Virginia Tech for 25 years. Dr. Kohl is an innovator of farm business management ideas and approaches, and part owner of a dairy creamery business. The third expert was Chuck Connor. Mr. Connor is President and CEO of the National Council of Farmer Cooperatives. He has served in a number of capacities in Washington, including Deputy USDA Secretary of Agriculture and Senior Advisor to President George W. Bush.
Hi, I'm Bill Lipinski, and I'm very excited today to present to our customer base 3 highly qualified experts to talk about the future of Northeast agriculture. So let's get right to it. As you look forward and think about agriculture for the next 10 years, what are your views?
Very optimistic about the future of agriculture in the Northeast. I think that the current interest in food and food systems throughout our urban populations immediately to the east of us provides us with a unique opportunity, the likes of which I haven't seen before in my career, to provide education to people about where food comes from and to also recruit people into the field of agriculture. In fact, our most rapidly growing major in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences right now is agricultural sciences. So I think we see this very unique situation right now with growing interest in food production and food systems and people actually moving into agriculture. I think our time is now, and it is up to us to take advantage of this very unique situation that we're seeing.
Do you know what the other element I'm seeing? More and more women. And women in the management roles, the ownership roles, the entrepreneurship roles, and then in certain pockets I'll see minorities. And I think this is a whole new energy that is coming to Northeast agriculture that we've really got to captivate out there.
Let me follow up, and we'll start with you, Chuck. With the growing federal deficits and really less understanding by the general public of commercial agriculture, how will federal farm policies change and what will that mean to Northeast farmers?
Well, Bill, there's no question that we're going to be having to do more with less when it comes to federal farm policy. This nation has, depending upon the estimates, somewhere around a $1.2 to $1.6 trillion debt. I worked in Washington, D.C. a long time before I even knew what came after $1 billion. There's no question each federal agency is going to have to employ some austerity measures down the road. The Department of Agriculture, all of our federal farm policy will be a part of that, and that's going to impact everything from agricultural research to conservation to farm programs to nutrition programs as well.
Dave, what do you think?
I want you to keep this in mind. 85% of all Americans are now 2 generations away from the farm and the ranch, and I think we have a tremendous public relations challenge to get our general population to understand the importance of agriculture and the elements that it brings to a vibrant type of economy. And so this is going to continue to be a challenge, along with agriculture is perceived to be doing quite well. And so the dollars coming out of Washington, D.C. will be less direct farm program payments, but also we're going to see more regulatory scrutiny coming along as well.
Chuck, I want to take advantage of your years of experience in the political arena and the Farm Bill development. What do you think the top priorities for the Secretary of Agriculture should be for the next 4 years?
Well, Bill, it's a tough question because I will tell you, as Secretary of Agriculture, it's a tough job, and let me just say, generally speaking, I think there are a few areas that every Secretary of Agriculture going forward is going to be challenged with. You know, we've got record farm income right now by a magnitude of several decibels. And you know, this is a great thing, and it's a great thing that we can see our producers, you know, getting a chance to make some money out there. But that record farm income is not spread across all of agriculture. There are certain aspects of American agriculture that are struggling mightily. And I think a challenge for the next Secretary of Agriculture is how do you bring about perhaps some balance to this so that you don't have the, if you will, the haves and the have-nots in American agriculture. We have that probably in a more extreme way today than what we have seen in relatively recent times. So that'll be a big challenge. I think the second challenge for the Secretary is it follows on the issues that we've already talked about. We are on a pathway toward a potential humanitarian crisis on this planet. When you analyze the food needs that are going to be out there, within perhaps not my working lifetime, but certainly that next generation's working lifetime. And are we laying the foundation today to meet that challenge? I believe we can meet it, but it's not just going to happen. It's got to be backed up with good, policies, certainly the right research, the right application, the right education, in order to, and as well the right export policies in order to get our products where they need to be.
All right, let me change gears a little bit. I'm very used to Dave's rules.
Oh no.
So what's your first 4 items on Dave Kohl's to-do list to be successful in 2013 with our Northeast farmers?
That's a really good question because, of course, we have the dairy operation, we have the dairy creamery, which is value added, and so it really started making me thinking about our operation. Number one, it starts in 2012, and it starts right around the holiday period. And you know what that is? It's sitting down and establishing your business, family, and your personal goals and putting them down on paper. I think that is very, very critical in the start of a business plan. I think the second thing that you do as soon as you get your records together is schedule an appointment with your agricultural lender. And what you do is you go over and you benchmark yourself to yourself, but you benchmark yourself to other types of operations. And one of the things that I think is going to be real critical is to be able to have an advisor come in like that to find your blind spots, but also find what you're doing well so you can build off those strengths. Third element, if you've been profitable, have a profit plan. It's not the tough years that get you into problems. It is the good years. And oftentimes what we find is that producers do not allocate their profits properly. And I call it the 60-30-10 rule. 60% of your profits should be for incremental growth, but it also should be to build efficiency, because I'm a big believer of better is better before bigger is better. 30% needs to be building working capital because we are living in an environment of economic extremes. And then 10%, do what you want to do with it.
Kathryn, let's talk a little bit about what you're an expert in. From a research perspective, what advances do you see coming that Northeast farmers can get excited about?
Well, it really is to a great extent about technology. And so to a very large extent, what the communication capabilities that we're seeing, whether it's from the producer being able to take a snapshot of a crop problem in the field and to send it straight to their extension office and get a diagnosis without actually having to get in the truck and drive there. Those kinds of things really move along our ability to treat problems in a more timely fashion and to provide information flow that goes both ways. Also helps provide to, for example, cooperative extension, the information about disease outbreaks, and helps us to contain such issues like that. And then, of course, as we look toward our products, our food products that we're growing, there will be plenty of new research that develops the field of consumer products that are available. We have barely scratched the surface in dairy products, for example, and we see a real boom and opportunities for us, particularly here in the Northeast, where we're so strong in dairy production. But if you travel around the globe, and I always do with a camera, and visit every dairy case I can find wherever I go, you can see that there's all kinds of opportunities for us to go out into new areas in terms of developing new dairy products and in terms of dairy product components. So research at every single level, on the farm, certainly in the processing plant, will take us into the future.
You know, we focused a lot of our discussion on traditional ag in our discussion so far. So if you're in the greenhouse, nursery, timber business, you're more focused on the non-farm economy. What advice would you, the three of you, have for that sector in terms of the things they ought to be thinking about to make themselves successful?
Well, Bill, let me just say, you know, in the case of the timber industry, you know, we've got to get our economy, you know, back on track. You know, this is a housing, this is a new construction, this is a remodeling issue, all of those kinds of things that you know, this is one of the worst segments of our economy in terms of recovery. And we just, you know, we've got to get that back on track in order to restore some vibrancy, you know, to this sector.
And Bill, can I just say, and I'm back to the numbers, for anyone that's in the forestry industry and, you know, the landscape, horticulture business, watch housing starts, and the magic number is 1.1 million. When we get back to 1.1 million, then the industry comes back. We're, what, about 740, 760 right now as we're shooting this video, but watch your numbers. That's going to be real critical. You know what the other element is? It's called demographics. We're probably going to have to shift. You think about it. The young person that's purchasing a home, they don't want the big monster mansion. They want an 1,800, 2,100 square foot home, energy efficient, minimal maintenance. Okay, and what we're going to have to do is adapt to this new customer base out there that is changing. And one thing I would just say, particularly for my greens, the vegetable, you're entrepreneurs. You're going to have to be an astute business person. It's going to have a business plan, and so doing that business planning and developing scenarios is going to be very, very critical, not only for the short run, but for the long run as well.
So let me follow up a little bit with you relative to export. You know, what do you see in terms of exports for American agriculture? You know, talk about dairy, maybe even talk about plant material, the green industry, timber.
Above. I think there's tremendous opportunities in virtually all of the commodities that we produce, you know, here in America. You know, there's been production problems in a lot of regions of the world, so, you know, the short-term supply circumstance for many commodities is a little thin. And, you know, you've got countries looking, you know, to rebuild stocks. So I think there's opportunities out there for everything from grains to dairy to just about all the commodities we produce in this country. That is aided greatly, certainly by the dollar valuation circumstance right now. And I don't foresee any major change in U.S. monetary policy in the foreseeable future that's going to dramatically alter that dollar valuation circumstance. So, you know, our commodities priced against other currencies is going to be good. Longer term, you know, comes down to a lot of different factors in terms of competitiveness, but short and intermediate term, you know, these are going to be good times for us.
Well, I've had the chance to ask the questions, and I want to give each one of you a chance to ask anyone on the panel something you're dying to know. So you look like you're ready to ask a question, Dave, so why don't you ask a question and we'll see what happens.
I'm going to ask a question of you. Okay. What is the one nugget that you would like everybody to take away? And think about it. It's not only the customer base, but it could be your internal customer, being your team members as well.
Well, I'm going to build off a comment you made. I mean, I found in my different leadership roles, my different observations about successful businesses, that your ability to interact and lead people, manage people, get things done through people, is a real big determinant on whether you're going to be successful. So as I observe non-farm businesses, you know, the leadership qualities that the CEO has, whether it be their values, their ability to communicate, is critical. And I think that's becoming more important on the farm, that producers need to be able to lead, they need to be able to manage, they need to be able to set out a vision for their group that is working there on what success means and how they can contribute to that success. How you approach that makes a big difference on whether you're going to be successful in whatever you're taking on. Any advice or coaching that you could give my customer base as we conclude this video?
Well, Bill, I mean, my advice, I think, is, you know, keep doing what you're doing. You know, we've got a remarkable system in place. We have challenges, and we all do need to be, you know, better ambassadors for what we do. I think more and more of our younger producers in particular realize that, you know, their role in American agriculture is not just right there on the farm, you know, that they do need to get out you know, and in effect speak in behalf of their industry. And you see more and more of that, particularly with this next generation. It's exciting to see. I guess if I had any advice to them, it's, you know, don't forget that aspect of American agriculture. We've got to sell what we do.
That's great. Kathryn, last word.
Well, I am thinking at this moment, what are we going to be talking about in 2022 when we all convene again to do our next conversation about the role of agriculture here in the northeastern United States. And I guess I'll say first, I am a firm believer that the dairy industry will continue to be very important here in the Northeast for the reasons that we've brought up, that we have water, that we have an educated workforce, and we have natural resources that make sense for dairy. I think we're going to continue to see diversified agriculture here in the Northeast. I think we'll continue to see fruit and vegetable production, and it'll be strong and vibrant, as well as support for our other consumers with horticultural products and lumber products. What do you think? What will we be talking about in 2022?
If you think about it, we have a large amount of population, but it's affluent population, and where they have the money and the income to be able to afford our wide variety of products and services. But also, you know, our neighbors to the north, 40% of the Canadian population lives Toronto and east, and they're within 100 miles of the border, and so let's not forget bringing that population base in. And just to kind of bring this all in together, I call it the 50-100-70 rule. And if you think about it, by the year 2050, we're going to need 100% more food, fiber, and fuel, and 70% of it will come through the convergence of technology, that being the biotechnology, the engineering technology, and the information technology. And the producers here in the northeastern part of the United States that take the technology in a sustainable way, it's going to be a very, very bright future.
Well, I can tell you that, you know, based on the amount of capital that folks are thinking about using to expand and take advantage of this Northeast phenomena, I think we're going to be looking back at that point in time thinking, well, things went pretty well, and we'll be excited. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time. This has been great. I hope our customer base appreciates the access to your wisdom. I certainly do, and I appreciate all three of you taking the time to spend a few moments with us and have a conversation about Northeast agriculture and its future. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. It's been an honor.